today to be joined by a good friend, very good friend of the show. Sinead, actually, should I say now?
Unfortunately,
George
not
Sharwood.
can make it tonight.
George from Precision Fueling and Hydration. George, how are you?
Good, thanks, Damien. All well in Cork, I hope.
Ball is very good, and it's a bit of sunshine the last couple of days, which is
Yes,
really, really nice. And
a lot of runners out the last
yes,
game. Yeah,
and one thing I've noticed as well an awful lot, George, is fueling has gone absolutely insane the last couple of weeks. I wonder, is there certain marathons and stuff coming up? I wonder.
yeah. Gels are sold out the last 10 days. It's just taken off. It's just
Yeah,
phenomenal the way it's
yeah.
gone.
It's
People are
been
much more aware of
mm,
fueling compared to a number of years ago and much more aware of carbohydrate requirements, fueling requirements, and recovery and things like that. So people are using that as an extra tool in their toolbox
yeah,
to when they're
it's
racing.
it's more than these 1% for me is what
Yeah.
fueling has become, and I've learned that myself. A few years ago when I done my last marathon, that I think if I had fueled properly, do what I know now, I think I would have been a lot better in a lot better position near the end, especially the last few miles for me, and that's where it comes in. And we're going to go through that today. We're going to go through how people can prepare to get used to gels, and we have a couple of listeners' questions which we're going to go through first. But George, obviously, look, you are an ambassador, we say, for precision fueling and hydration. You supply it to a lot of shops around Ireland. So we are going to obviously talk a lot about your products, but people can base this around their own gel strategy as well that they have as well. So just because we use the term precision fueling and hydration, use it to whatever people want to use it for that way as well. But, obviously you've been a great supporter of us on the podcast, and, we want to highlight the absolutely incredible product that you have and that precision fueling have as well. So we will obviously be talking a bit about that as well. So, George, we start at the start. We are
Okay.
now roughly 16 weeks out from Cork Marathon, but this is goes for any marathon that anyone is doing at the moment. I would presume now is a very good time for people to be looking into what gels to be using.
Yeah, looking at what gels and looking at what fueling requirements that they're going to use on race day, it's a good idea to have a plan now rather than the night before. So we would look at a couple of different things. We'd look at hydration is one of our key things that we look after, and fueling and fluid. They're the three levers we call them of for your race plan. So fluid, if you're a heavy sweater, it's important that you make sure that that fluid is going in
Mhm.
constantly during the race. Hydration, pre-hydration the night before and the morning of the race is key with a strong electrolyte. The precision fueling hydration 1500, the purple tube,
Yeah.
is really key to preload the night before. So what that does, it loads your blood plasma with sodium. So it will be 3 to 4 times stronger than any other brand of electrolyte out there, and it's high in sodium, so it fills your blood plasma. So when you start the race, you're fully loaded, and you'd have another one of those the morning of the race, stopping about an hour and a half
Mm.
before.
Mhm.
Um,
Um, So George, for that, how do people know if you're a heavy sweater? I would class myself as a heavy sweater, but I don't I know no because obviously look, I've done the test with you, but how do people know if you're a salty heavy sweater? Is there indicators for that?
there's a couple of different things. So we start with the salty sweaters. They generally tend to cramp a lot. Okay, they tend to have white marks on their shirts or their hat, and they'll feel grit on their face. They tend to take a bit more salt than normal on their foods because their body looks to replace it after exercise. And they generally feel very fatigued if it was a warm day and they did a marathon or a half marathon or a long training session. And then we just have the heavy sweaters, which would be the middle category, that people who sweat a lot, not necessarily a lot of salt, but a lot of fluid. And it's very important that they replace that fluid, um, because it's like a cascade effect, I explained, where they lose a bit of salt and a bit of fluid. And it's a combination of everything that can lead to cramping, dehydration, and just ruin your race.
Yeah.
So and the other thing then is your carbohydrate is your third lever, your fueling, is key. But if we just go with the hydration, precision fueling and hydration operate a sweat test. It's called a sweat analysis,
Hmm.
whereby an athlete can come to us. We've done some in the Edge with you in Cork, whereby we analyze their sweat using pyrocarbon gels on the athlete's forearm. This generates a sweat patch, the sweat patch is only the size of a teardrop. And after about an hour, we can analyze that and give the athlete a report there and then as to how much sodium they lose in their sweat.
Hmm.
So that's key in knowing what's replacement electrolyte you need. So the heavy salty sweaters will use a stronger one as opposed to the less salty sweaters.
Yeah.
So the key is to balance it up. So if you can balance up your electrolyte loss, your performance should stay the same. And after that, it's up to you in training and your fueling to optimize your race.
Yeah. So like I have a link down below because we've done a chat before about the sweat test. So again, I thought it was a very, very good chat, very interesting chat. We've done it a few times ourselves, and I know you have a lot coming to you as well. So if anyone is interested, put in the comments as well down below, and get on to either myself or get on to George as well, and we will look into another sweat test again if we have enough people. We've had a great turnout from the last good few that
Yeah.
we've done on it, but. So George, like for people we're going to take this as someone now who's starting doing a first, we say half or marathon or anything like that. What's the best way for them to start finding what kind of fueling system to take? And I won't use gels because it's not gels aren't for everybody. But what's the best
Yeah.
way for them to get used to fueling during a training run?
As practice, the best thing obviously is to practice in training what they're going to try and use on race day. And gels are a quick way of getting energy into the system. You can use a drinks mix, an energy drinks mix. Some people will use a branded energy drink, something that you find that works with your stomach. Not everyone is the same. Gels are probably the fastest way getting energy fast into the bloodstream into the muscles to help you to fuel on race day. So as you're starting out in your training plan, maybe try a gel, a couple of different brands, see what works best with your stomach. The precision fuel and hydration one is this neutral taste. There's no flavor of it, so it's really tender,
Mhm.
really easy on the stomach. Um, Ideally, if you're planning a long training session, practice out your race strategy, your breakfast, what you're going to have on race day. We would advise, if possible, a gel every 25 minutes, especially in a marathon. In a half marathon, maybe three over that course of the race would be sufficient. Um, but the aim would be anywhere between 60 to 75 grams of carbohydrate per hour.
Okay.
Now, that sounds very technical, but a lot of the gels that have that information on them, so you can work out pretty easily how
Mhm.
many gels. With the precision gels, it's one every 25 minutes is ideal. If you can take one every 25 minutes, you'll adequately fuel yourself for a race. That's the biggest thing we find is people totally under fueling,
Yeah.
and they wonder then why they're walking after 18 miles or 25K.
Mhm.
And that's because they ran out of fuel. It's as simple as that. They've done the training, but they've just ran out of petrol.
So the one tip I would give with that as well, George, and it's just something I could myself I learned from the past is when you are training gel as well, is try that gel on its own. So, try one brand on one Sunday you go out. Don't mix and match because you never know what gel has caused the issues on your stomach.
Yeah, yeah.
So on you go out for the Sunday, you take the precision that week. If you know if issues on that, carry it on the following week. Because what I have seen over time as well is I've taken 7 different gels, different company gels that I've taken. And I've realized the best for me is a drink mix. So, but I've been lucky in the marathons I've been able to do where I've had the table or I've had someone who can give me a drink. So I'm lucky that way for that. But I did one time where I took one gel and then took another company gel. I hadn't a clue which one I was upset my stomach and it was pointless using it that way. So just use one gel company at any given time when you're doing it because it's the only way you're going to find if it actually is working on your stomach.
Yeah, and fueling is as important as your training plan.
Mhm.
Um, I see so many people failing because they underfuel, and it's like after doing all the work, getting to the race and getting fit and being on the start line, doing all the training, and to let yourself down because you didn't do the homework as to what exactly fueling requirements you need is disappointing. But and you can see the people who've nailed the fueling, they are actually performing better
Yeah.
and getting better.
And
Um,
for some people as well, George, I think it's important. Like if you're, we say, out for 4 hours, 4.5, 5 hours, it's a lot of gels to try to be consuming. So for me, again, through experience, it's worthwhile looking at supplementing with, mixing it up a little bit, maybe with a small carb drink mix, or some of the jellies that as well, just so that's not a constant gel that you're getting in.
yeah, that's important to mix it up. Because no one would want to take 7 or 8 gels over a period of 3 or 4 or 5 hours. So it's great to have either the energy chews, energy gels, energy drink, just to mix and match. But again, you'd want to try all this in training
Mm.
just to make sure it works because it doesn't work for everybody.
No.
Um, so
Um,
that's important.
a big thing that we've noticed as well that's what that's really taking off is the carb drink mixes that people are taking these, even some people the night before to the morning of it as well to build up to an hour and a half to the race. And this is obviously a drink mix with carbs and with a bit of sodium in it as well. Um, how beneficial can that be?
Um, it's, it's an easy way of getting carbohydrates into your system without having a big breakfast. Some people maybe have a bit of nerves on race morning. You can sip away on this drink and get 90 grams of carbs into your system in the hour beforehand, which is really good.
Mhm.
You can also carry it in a soft flask. So as you drink it, obviously the flask will get lighter.
Mhm.
That's very handy. So you get your hydration and your carbohydrates into your
Yeah.
system fast. So yeah, the drinks mix are really popular, especially with ultra runners and marathon long 50K or longer. The drinks mix is really, really proved popular and really easy to consume. So it's
Okay.
light on the stomach.
Yeah. So George, just for people who take the drink mix, when you're getting your carbs and everything like that, would they then want to take the gel still every 25 minutes, or is it like a carb load now where you've stocked up and you can don't have to start for another hour into the run then?
Well, you could probably give yourself a window of 30 minutes at least for
Mm,
the drinks mix to settle in, but you want to keep on your fueling plan from half an hour into the race and stay on the plan.
mm,
Again, sometimes people get a bit dehydrated if it's a warm day and they neglect to take the gels and keep fueling.
yeah.
Again, it's that common thing of under fueling, forgetting to fuel, think everything's okay. And sometimes it's too late then. They need to be really rigid on taking that gel every 25 minutes or 30 minutes. Like
Yeah.
one every 45, 50 minutes isn't enough, really.
Mm.
It needs to be 25 to 30 minutes in terms of fuel.
Yeah, and you just mentioned warm weather there. So Faye Wright sent us in a question, which as we're on that topic, I'll mention it. So, fueling advice for running the half marathon in the heat struggled big time last year.
Okay. So I wondered if they struggle with fuel or was it dehydration?
Mm,
With the heat, it's probably the dehydration effect. So again, to preload the night before with strong electrolyte, the Precision Hydration 1500 is the one everyone you would go to for that. Same again on the morning of the race. And then during the race, it's important to, again, stay fueled and hydrated. So we do salt tablets for people who don't want to carry a bottle. It's a handy way of keep the sodium levels up.
mhm.
Again, depending on how much sodium they lose, if they take the test, we can tell them that. If not, they can start with one salt tablet per hour as a start off. They will feel an awful lot better.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think
uh,
for a lot of people, anything that they introduce straight away is going to make a big difference anyway. So like it's all about these little things. You don't need to do everything at once. You can do one thing first, and then if like now
exactly.
is the time to start this because you've plenty of time to practice it.
Yeah, practice and training is key, and then you'll know what
Yeah.
will work for you. It doesn't work for everybody. There's not a same plan for everyone. So
No. So like for the warm weather again, like it is hydration is absolutely key. And again, I think, there is ways that you can, put even a tablet into something that you can drop it into a
yeah.
water later on if you need to, just to get it at the water stations and things like that, or if you have someone again who can give you water.
A
But
lot of the tablets are blister pack. The ones we have are blister
mm,
packs. So you can cut off a strip, put them in your pocket, just pop one every half an hour with a mouthful of water at an aid station, and
mm,
that will even work in the background there, keeping you hydrated, keeping your focus, stave off dehydration and cramping, which is you'll feel a hell of a lot better.
yeah,
And then you stick to your fuel plan, your whole race will feel better. So
yeah.
you generally perform better then. So that would be key in warm weather. That would be one of our points that we really
Yeah, and
hammer.
100, and look again, myself and Brian spoke about this the other day as well, but another key point, and I know it's not fueling related, but to knock the pace back from day one, from
Yeah,
early days. If you were
yeah,
a plan for go up for a PB and you're tight to PB, knock it back, get your fueling right, and all that will make it actually a lot more comfortable for you by the end of
yes,
it.
yeah, key.
Um, Another question has come in, which we will get to. Is it so? Any good alternatives for gels for fueling endurance races? So any good
Alternative
alternatives?
gels. There's a couple of, well, besides the drinks mix, which we do, there's various different brands of drinks mix out there. That's a good start off point if people don't like gels. Energy chews are another good one. And real food then as well. Obviously, people can bring bars or alternative flapjacks, things like that. But
Yeah.
it would, on a long endurance race, the advice is always to stick with the sugary energy products for as long as possible and then
Okay.
switch to the real food, not the other way around.
Okay.
Your stomach will reject that. So the best plan is always to use the sugary energy products at the start of the long endurance races. And then as your tummy gets fed up or you can't stand any more gels or chews, then it's time to switch to the real food.
Okay.
But
And by real food, are you talking like bananas,
bananas, perhaps say sandwiches, things
dates
like
as
that.
well,
Yes,
things like
exactly.
that. So, so and you wouldn't, and I know that I'm not sounding, you don't mean, or do you mean ham sandwiches? You know what I mean? Is it,
Yeah, it
or is,
depends on the length of the race. If it's one of the extreme ultra 100 Ks or longer, some
yeah,
people will do that. But the person asked alternatives to gels would be the drinks mix, would be energy chews, or something on that kind of line that will
yeah.
give energy fast into the system without maybe that sickly feeling if there's too much sugar.
Yeah, so that was from Cat Runs there as well, who asked for that. So again, you know, and I think she mentioned dates as well, and that is,
Yeah,
another
another
option
good
as
fuel
well.
alternative.
It's
Yeah,
another good fuel alternative. Sometimes with a lot of these kind of ones, it is again, it's like inconvenience of nearly carrying them a lot of the times. Where, as you said, with the drink mix, if you get the hip flask type things, them the flask types, they are handy as well with into a flip belt and things like that, which can be quite easy to use nowadays for that as well. Um, George, like, what should we be looking at even afterwards? Should we be getting another carb drink to us after a race as well, or is it a pint of Guinness and bag of chips?
maybe you get a PB possibly. I suppose a good protein shake, just build protein to build back up the muscles after the all the exercise. If you've had a race, it's good to get protein in fast. Good recovery shake. You can rehydrate with an electrolyte again. That's great if you're consistently training again the next
Mm,
day. If you're on a training plan, good recovery is key. Roll out the muscles that we all intend to do, but don't always do.
no,
Things like that. Just good training regime
yeah.
is key. But yeah,
I think though, for me, and this is something we're going to harp on about for the next good few weeks, and everything like that. I think it's now, as I said, it's the next few weeks is so important for people. And we spoke briefly about recovery there, but I think it's getting the fueling right, even in your training, will help aid your recovery so that you're able to go again on a session on a Tuesday or a session on a Wednesday after your long run on a Sunday.
yeah.
So by getting that fueling right now. I could be wrong in this, so that's why I'm going to ask you the question. For me, when I was training, I used to take no, obviously nowhere near the gels I would take during race day. So I would take, if I was on a 2 hour run, I might take one gel at around 50 minutes, and I might take another gel at around, an hour 40 or something like that. Where if I was doing a marathon, obviously it is every 25 to 30 minutes is what I'm going to. Am I right in doing that? Because I'm trying to train my body to go into a bit of deficit, that on race day I feel better.
You could go that way. We would probably err the other way.
Okay.
Um, trying to train your gut to take in that amount of
Mhm.
gels. Some people you can over matter weeks. It's proven that you can train your system to take in more gels than 60, 70 grams of carbs. Some people are taking in 80 to 100, some people more than 100, because over a period of maybe 3 months, they've trained a bit more every week. So your stomach get used to it. For the average runner, 80 to 90 is a lot.
Yeah.
Again, it takes a lot of training for your tummy to get able to use that and consume it and turn it into energy. But that's all in training. But it's good to start off. We would always say just start off small and bring
And
it on
build.
from there. And
And you're
consistency.
peaking really that 3 to 4 weeks away,
Yeah,
as in that target run, as we always call it, your target long run where you wear your gear that you're wearing for that day.
yeah.
That then is the day where, and I was the same. That was the day where I go, this is a full fuel strategy. This is a
Yeah.
full kit strategy. Everything now has been tried for that day, and I would have kind of built up to that final day then of it.
Exactly. And consistency in training is key.
Mm.
Like the more consistency, like everyone knows, the better. The better it's fueling, whether it's going to the gym, but the consistency is really key. That's what I found always.
Yeah, and
Consistency.
Brian spoke last year. Obviously, he spoke very highly of yourself and of Precision Fueling when he done his sub 3 in Manchester. And again, for people, how everyone's so different, where I'll be very much drink mix before the run, and where possible to drink mix during the run. Brian was a 90-gram carb
Yeah.
gel, which he had before it. So he's sipping that on the way to the start line. And he was just the electrolytes. And then during the days or during the run, he was taking gels. So what works for one person might not work for another person. So let's keep on trying. Again, try the drink. Doesn't matter. Does try the gel the following week. But I think the easiest way at the moment to get a head start is to start with that drink before the long run, especially, or
Yeah,
gel.
definitely. Definitely. You really want to be getting that fuel correct, and have it in your plan again now, not the night before the race,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
have it planned out.
100%. Yeah.
Know
If we,
exactly what time you're taking it at and
yeah,
when you're taking it. That's
yeah,
key.
we've worked obviously together in the Cork Marathon Expo and things like that. And the one that always drives fear to my face is when someone comes in, I'm doing a marathon tomorrow. I've never taken a gel. Give me something that'll get me through the day. And you're like, oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
don't be that person. And we mean that in a way
yeah,
that we'll help
yeah.
you as much as we can. But these are things that you have to see. Can you get caffeine is the next one now,
Okay. So
George.
just go back, I'll just
Yeah,
rewind a bit.
yeah.
If you go onto the Precision Fuel and Hydration website or contact myself, we do free fueling plans. Or if someone is unsure about fueling, they can contact us. You can get a free 20-minute video call. It doesn't cost you anything, only your time. And myself or someone from the athlete support team will go through a full fueling plan for any event you want to do. It doesn't cost
Okay.
you anything. You don't have to buy anything. Free advice that Precision Fuel and Hydration do. So we have a team of about 25 athlete support people from all across the world, every time zone. So anybody can contact us by email, go onto the website, book a call at a time that suits you, and someone will be there to answer your question.
Yeah, we might throw that link as well down below, so
Yeah,
George, as well in the notes as well, so that for people if they do, but that's actually that to me is a no-brainer, really. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Free as well, which is always a nice word to hear. So
yes,
it's I would encourage people to get on that because again, as you said, you're not, and I know we've actually discussed this before. You're not pushing any
no,
company. This is to get the best fueling strategy for that person that's
that's
on
it.
the other end of the line to you at the time, which I think is really, really good side to it. So caffeine.
Okay,
So
yes,
caffeine is this mythical thing that some people love and some people hate.
yeah.
Um, where do you stand on it?
Okay, caffeine is good for okay, well, there's a lot of research done on this. I think we spoke about this the last time, and people generally are taking their caffeine gels too late in the race.
Mhm.
Bang on halfway is the best place to take your caffeine gel, not with 20 minutes to go, because it takes about 40 minutes for actually the caffeine to really kick in. So if you're taking it with 20 minutes to go to the finish line, you're
It's
actually getting
kicking
the
in the
caffeine.
pub.
Yeah, exactly. So halfway is ideal. Generally, the people who don't drink a whole lot of coffee get the best kick from the
Mm.
caffeine gels. If you generally drink 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day, you won't get a huge benefit from a caffeine gel. As to the people who don't drink a lot of coffee, they'll obviously get more because the body is used to it.
Mm. And should there be a ratio of non-caffeine to caffeine, or is it what your stomach can handle?
Again, it's down to personal. Generally, we would recommend one before the race,
Okay.
about 15, 20 minutes before the race, and then one at halfway.
Okay.
That's in a marathon. That's generally in a marathon. That's what we would recommend.
Yes, yeah,
But
and
again,
yeah,
I have people who just take caffeine gels only,
mm,
nothing
yeah,
else, just caffeine gels, and or they take 2 to 1. But it's a really personal choice on the
yeah,
caffeine.
yeah. For me, and we had discussion. I actually learned this from you as well. I was actually taking my caffeine gels way too late.
Yeah,
Um, and I realized that when you forget that it does take 20 to 40 minutes for the caffeine
yeah,
to kick in. So I was taking mine at 20 and mile 23 nearly, so it
yeah.
was kicking in
Yeah,
way
it's too.
too late for me. So it is halfway, and again, as you said, what I used to do was I used to take two caffeine during a marathon, and
Okay.
then three
Yeah, two,
to
two
yeah,
would be fine. Yeah,
yeah.
and one
So
beforehand is great, just as a little boost at the
yeah.
start.
But again, my tip for this is when you're trying the caffeine gels, is to always try it somewhere that if you need to go to a bathroom, that there's one near enough to you
Not
because
far away. Yeah,
yeah,
especially the
because
first time you take one. Yeah,
correct. Yeah. And I recommend people to take a caffeine on a not depleted stomach either during a long, long run, but on a
yeah,
semi-depleted because you're during halfway during a marathon, you're still going to be at a somewhat depleted stomach with, and you need to see how your stomach reacts to that.
Exactly. That's, yeah, very good point. Very good point. Yeah.
So like there are things like for us, we're very lucky down in Cork. We don't really market. We can just do loops around there and try it and run in
Yeah.
if we need to. But you can upset your stomach very little times, by the way, just so that people don't get scared at. But it's just
Yeah.
something that might happen. I
Yeah.
would say the same for gels, really, George, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Try it in training. You have to try it out in
Mm.
training. Don't leave it till the day, the race day.
Yeah, and
It's not
just run
worth it.
around your house if you have to and see how
Yeah.
you are, and you can run in with that as well. Um, any other hints and tips, George, that you would off the top of your head, putting you on the spot right now, that you would think that
Okay.
people should think about?
Okay. Warm marathons, hydration is key.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean drinking 2 liters of water a day coming up to the race. It's just a strong electrolyte the night before, and again, one the morning of the race. And then hydrate either using a bottle with your hydration tablets in it or salt tablets during the race. So, hydration number one, fueling number two, and practice it in training and recover afterwards. And have your consistency in training every week.
Yeah.
Not as much stop start, but if you can be there every week, turn up every week, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, 100%. And I do like look, I 100% agree with George on that. I think it's so important, the consistency of getting it. If you do it one week and not the following week, you're not training your gut,
Yeah.
as George was saying, and that's the important thing, especially when it comes to the marathon. You get away with a bit and a half.
Yeah.
When it comes to the marathon and longer, it's all about training your gut to get it
Okay.
used to it.
So we have some other news.
Go
We
on.
have a new product launch later this month. I don't think not going to be announced until the 24th of March. So we have an early start. So we have a 60-gram chew bar being launched on the 24th of March in original and mint lemon flavor. So it's like, if anyone is aware of our chews, our energy chews
Mm,
at the moment, it's two of these stuck together.
okay.
So a 60-gram bar, so a full hour's worth of energy in one gel bar. It's called the Chew Bar. Ideal for cyclists, ideal for trail runners, hiking. Like they're really cool.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of samples. They're due to land in about 10 days, so they'll be in all the stores from the 24th, 25th of March.
Yeah, most importantly, being the Edge Sports people, so
Yes, yes,
an order online through the Edge Sports as well.
yes,
We don't
exactly.
anywhere else forget about it. But no, that's it. Look, to be fair, George, I know you're constantly innovating. You're constantly trying to push to the next level for people. So it's going to be this is another string in your bow, and it'd be very interesting, and to see how people get on with that product as well.
Very good.
Do you have anything else in the pipeline that we should know about?
No, that's all at the moment. We'll be at the Cork City Marathon Expo with you.
Yeah.
That weekend, anyone has any questions, we'll be there all day Friday and Saturday for that particular race. But as I mentioned before, anyone who has any fueling requirements or issues or questions, please get in touch. There's no problems anytime you want.
Yeah, and also, if anyone's interested in sweat testing as well, you can let us know, or let myself know, or obviously contact George as well. We will be more than happy to throw on another day of sweat testing to
Yeah.
take George up to the real capital there at some stage for a day out again for
Or they
himself.
can come to Kilkenny or basic Kilkenny.
Uh,
We test Monday to Friday.
yeah, exactly. So we'll figure out, we'll get people sorted, so don't worry about that. But George, thanks very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
I hope people have found this very useful. I have. Even I'm, still learning, even though I'm at this now 7, 8 years, and I'm still learning every day with nutrition, and it's brilliant to sit down and have a chat with yourself. But I do recommend out of this, I think that phone call that you can get with the precision fueling hydration um athlete and stuff like that is going to be a game changer for
Yeah.
people. So I would get people press the button down below in the link and get that call organized, because it could actually change your race strategy for the hell of a lot better at the end of the day.
Excellent.
George, have a lovely day.
Thanks,
Thanks again.
Damien. Talk to you
Cheers.
soon. Bye bye.